this week's best MMA bets. We're talking Bellator 285. This is the full card betting breakdown. We're going to go through locks, dogs, props, and the parlays. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you haven't. Subscribe. Turn those post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. The Bellator betting side. Now, there are a lot of wide lines here, so I'm going to caution you guys beforehand with the lock section. Some of these lines might not look great, but I think the locks that I have picked are the fighters with the most likely probability of winning, and we're also basing a little bit of it on the experience factor aside from one of them. Now, first of the locks, it's Mads Burnell over Pedro Carvallho. Yes, he is way wide at minus 410. Carvalho's plus 425. Burnell should definitely win the fight. I think he stops Carvallho. So you're looking at the betting side. Burnell's got excellent submissions, but he also can box really good. There's win inside distance for Burnell. You're getting a little bit of plus money, plus 105. If you want to sniper it to one, I'm going to pick submission. It's plus 325 Mads Burnell by sub. Even though the money line is not great, there's some value on that prop bet because I do think he could submit Pedro Carvallho here. I'm going to predict that he does. First of the locks, Mads Burnell. Lock number 2. It's got to be Brett Johns for me. And this is not necessarily in any particular order, but I am confident he's winning. Like, it's a true lock style pick. I think he will dominate Jordan Winski in the wrestling. Minus 490. Winski's plus 475. Plus 575, actually, best value. I like Brett Johns to win. I don't love the betting side of this one as much, but I will predict Johns to probably grind out a win by a decision, most likely. That's minus 115. If he won by KO TKO, it's got to be ground and pound. That's plus 500. I think that's a lot less likely. I think more so we're seeing Brett Johns by a decision, maybe even at over 2.5, but I don't love that play here. I'll pick Johns to win. Lock pick. I'm going to say win by decision if I had to pick a prop at minus 115. Next of the locks. This kind of is the one exception to the experience factor. Queally, I really do think has a ton of skills. At minus 400 against Kai Stevens, he's fighting an opponent who is game. I think he's maybe too wide for this matchup, but I think he's going to look dominant. If we're looking at the betting side, I think you have to lean Queally to win by submission. Looking at that line, it's still plus money at plus 135. It's not my favorite. I would much rather play Mads Burnell, but that is still, plus money. And I think Queally is probably going to submit Kai Stevens in a round or two here. I don't know about the unders. Maybe under 2.5 at minus 150. That could come through, especially if Quelly's winning. If you think Queally wins, you're probably thinking he gets the finish also. So maybe minus 150, under 2.5. Queally, a lock. But I would say move forward with caution simply due to lack of the high-level experience. Next of the locks, I like Dante Shiro over Luka Postlit. I think Shiro's going to be a bit bigger. I think he's better in the stand-up. I think he'll match Postlit in the wrestling, and it's minus 190. I think this is a fantastic tag. It's a lock, and honestly, it'd be a value bet too, because in Bellator, minus 190 might as well be even money. Win by decision for Shiro is most likely plus 375. I don't like the props as much here. Shiro TKO plus 250. If I was to play Shiro, it's going to go towards money line. I think it's a money line attack. He's in a game fight against Luka Postlit, and I think they go the full 3 here with Postlit being very game, but Shiro getting the hand raise at the end of it. And minus 190 isn't a bad tag for it, but it's because Postlit is a legitimate threat to him. If you see minus 190 in Bellator, know it's a fight. But at that line, at my confidence in Shiro, I have to put him in the lock section. Next of the locks, Carl Albrechtsen. This guy's looking to me top-level Bellator light heavyweight. He's minus 410, so he's a wide favorite, as they all are for the most part. Moore's plus 400. At minus 410, how does Albrechtsen get it done? This could be a little bit concerning. My official method of victory pick is KO TKO, and I pick second round, ground and pound. KO TKO for Albrechtsen, plus 250. But if he won this fight on the cards, I don't think it would be a huge surprise. But as far as stock bump, a TKO would do wonders for Carl Albrechtsen moving forward. I'm going to say KO TKO. It's plus 250 for it. I think there's a pretty decent chance that it comes through. You can't play him really money line at minus 410 unless you Drake money in it. I don't really suggest you do that. will probably bring him back up in some of the bigger parlays towards the end. Next of the locks, I think Brian Moore should run through Arivaldo Lima da Silva at plus 245. Da Silva, I love the chance that he's getting jumping in here to fight Brian Moore, and he gets himself an opportunity at the highest level after being a Brazilian journeyman, always looking for that next shot, but I think Moore stops him. Brian Moore's minus 400. We actually don't have a slew of props available, but I think KO TKO for Brian Moore is pretty likely in this matchup. That's how I'm predicting he does get it done. I'd say those are the official locks. I guess I can't necessarily leave Yoel Romero out of the high confidence. I want to mention him at minus 645. But to jump into the next section, I want to jump to the dog side. Manhoef is not a pick, but there's something that has to be mentioned if we're looking at underdogs. It's plus 500 for Melvin Manhoef. He has knockout power. This guy slept Mark Hunt. If you're playing Manhoef, the only reason to play it would be Manhoef by knockout. Looking at that, it's plus 650. I think that's a great line if you're looking to dog attack. You're probably not attacking Yoel Romero at minus 645. I think he wins the fight, though, Romero. I think he's going to knock him out. But I have to mention Melvin Manhoef as a real bit of a wide stretch underdog attack. But it's not impossible. Next of the dogs I'm going to mention. This one is by far not a pick. But Rafael Hudson is a Nova União guy. He's fighting Ciryl Clark, whose last fight, he had some trouble, and he won that fight injury stoppage. Ciryl Clark is minus 650. He's a young fighter in the game. He seems like a quality Irish prospect. Hudson is most likely going to lose, but I have to mention at plus 490, it's not an awful play. And also, I want to look at a stretch here. If he was able to get the KO, plus 2,000. These lines are extremely, extremely wide. Clark to win by submission, which is what I'm thinking. Upwards of plus 155, which is actually not terrible. He probably wins by sub here. But if he ended up winning a decision against Hudson, it wouldn't be a huge shock. Hudson went the distance with Sylvester Miller, who gave Jack Cartwright a hell of a fight and was on his way to beating him. That's something I respect here. I'm going to say Ciryl Clark. Most likely we'll be talking about him winning after the fight. But Hudson, plus 2,000 knockout prop, is a dog worth mentioning. Now, the official dog of the night on this card that really, to me, is a winner. I'm picking Peter Queally to beat Benson Henderson by KO in the main event. Queally is plus 182. Henderson's minus 190. I like Peter Queally, KO, TKO. The line for it, plus 500. This guy's a good striker. He's rangy. He's got a reach advantage. Benson Henderson doesn't bring a significant power threat. If Henderson can chain wrestle throughout the entire fight, that's how he gets to win. And I say it'd have to be a decision. I think Queally has the most likely method of finish, which is he lands a powerful punch and drops Benson, who was knocked out. I know, granted, Michael Chandler's got iron power, but Queally hits pretty damn hard himself, and he's willing to walk through fire to land. Reason he lost to Patricky Pitbull is he walked into the fire, and he attempted to walk through it. He didn't walk through that when he got burned. Benson doesn't have that type of power. Henderson's not a heavy puncher. For that reason, I'm confident on Queally. I'm going to pick him at plus 500 for the knockout prop. I think money line, he's not a terrible idea at plus 182. Benson Henderson, though, OG legend. Got to respect the guy, but I'm going to pick Queally now. I think Henderson, he's not out of his prime. He is out of his prime. Take that back. He's not so far past his prime that he's not competitive against top lightweights in Bellator, but he's not peak Benson Henderson. I think Queally's going to take advantage, and he's going to give him a bit of a striking touch-up. I don't think it's going to be a complete beating from start to finish. I think third round is when Queally wins. If we really want to Mystic Mac it, Queally KO TKO round 3 is plus 2,000. Just throwing that out there as a Mystic Mac prop. I'm picking Peter Queally as a dog, and that's a dog that I really like. Now, let's jump to the props/value bet section. If you guys haven't, make sure to smash the likes. I'll talk about why I'm not including Kenny Mokohoana at minus 290 against Alex Bolnar. Plus 245. I think Mokohana probably wins this fight, and I'm going to say he grinds out a decision. I'm going to look at the over 1.5 at minus 147 as maybe a prop to touch if you want to play one. Still flipping a coin because it's less experienced guys. I've always talked about this with Bellator. You're taking a big risk playing these prelims. Georgi Karahanyan, Kane Musa. I'm going to pick Georgie to win. I'm leaning him by knockout, but I don't want to go down and play a money line too much because Kane Moose is still an athletic and dangerous guy, and Karahanyan's been beat a fair amount of times. Looking at it, Karahanyan by KO is plus 700. That's a Hail Mary prop I think worth looking at. Looking at some of these other matchups, Asael Aduaji versus Jordan Barton. I'll pick Barton to win. He's minus 150. But on this one, I think you sit, watch, enjoy, or maybe dog or pass because Asael from the outside has got some really good kicks. I'm just expecting Barton to close that gap and win. Diana Silva, Liam McCord, another matchup I wanted to mention. This one is a fight where I think the over. Over 2.5, minus 275, high confidence. Diana Silva is the slight pick. I think it's because McCourt really lacks a quality stand-up game for me, but she does have some quality grappling, and if she can get Diana Silva down, that could be trouble. I'm picking Diana Silva to win that fight. Other fight, let's see if we didn't go through any of these ones. Yeah, we went through each of the matchups with a little bit of depth there. I like that. I guess we got to pull up one final prop on this prop section, and that's the fight between Asael and Jordan Barton. Let's see for the over 2.5, minus 155. I do think this fight could go longer here, but definitely two guys capable of finish. Barton by decision, plus 200. Asael by KO, plus 600. I just don't love the betting side on this one personally. Pretty good as far as some moneyline dog attacks, especially Peter Queally. Maybe some parlays to play with the locks, some close money play on Dante Shiro, some decent props. I want to jump to the parlay section. If you guys haven't yet, make sure to smash the hell out of the like button and let's create a Bellator parlay here. I'm going to use my high confidence locks and I'm curious what this line is even going to look like at the end. It's still going to be super wide. We'll go Burnell. We'll add in Albrechtson, Brett Johns, Dara Kelly. We're getting plus 109 now, so we're getting somewhere. Brian Moore, plus 167. I feel like this is not terrible. If we added in Dante Shiro, plus 304. Now, these are some wide favorites. This is a risky way to parlay, but it's Bellator, so I got to throw it at you. I understand if people are like, listen, cut the fluff off. I don't want anything above minus 300. So if you want to eliminate the rest of the slate and just start fresh and we just ride with Dante Shiro, minus 195, minus 190 range. Peter Queally, plus 300. It gives you that same plus money for a lot less fights. I do think there's a legit shot it comes through, but you're banking on Queally to come through as an underdog in that main event in a very difficult spot against live Benson Henderson. I mean, he's the favorite for a reason here, but I do think Quilly's going to stop him. I want to parlay it up here. One more play. Where's our minus 300? Here we go. Minus 365. Brian Moore, Dante Shiro, Peter Queally. Brian Moore at minus 365 is actually a pretty good line for his fight against Carvallho. I think he's going to touch him up on the feet. Plus 411 for this one. If you didn't have Queally, you're still getting near plus money. You're getting minus 108. That's not a terrible way to play it. I think adding Queally in will give you the nice juice at plus 411. Be cautious with your parlays in Bellator because if you go for the wide lines, I mean, as much as I'd love to just play wide lines, there's a lot of fights to risk. But we'll go Mystic Mac it right at the end here for you guys. Dante Shiro, Mads Burnell, Peter Queally, plus 970 if you had Queally on that slate too. Real Hail Mary. Not suggesting you guys do this one, because that is a fucking lot of fights to go through. And if you played the over 2.5 on this one, plus 1,359. That's the true Mystic Mac parlay of the week. We can't get that same crazy value like UFC, plus 3,000 on the crazy Mystic Mac plays. But it's Bellator. The lines are more similar to boxing. There's a lot of wide favorites here. If you can snipe out a dog and pick one, that would be incredible. I like Queally. He's a proven vet, and I like him to win. Some of these other dogs, obviously chances they could pull something off, but more likely it goes the way of the favorites in my opinion, and that's why I'm confident on a handful of them. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's Bellator edition of this week's Best MMA Bets. Much love to the people watching. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the picks. Let me know what your guys' locks, dogs, props, parlays, or anything else are for this card. You looking forward to this Bellator card? I'm curious too, because I feel like the hype's building on this Bellator card a bit more than previous matchups, especially with Yoel Romero in that co-main event against Melvin Manhoef. That's a fantastic co-main. Much love, guys. Like, subscribe. Make sure to turn those post notifications on and share the video as well. If you don't have anything to say in the comments, but you just enjoy the content, drop a W in the chat as always. Thank you all so much, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, everyone.